has been targeted is Donald Trump. This is why I called it government. I mean, you think he's got classified records? Donald Trump had? Again, because Trump, we saw the piles of, classified material in Trump's bathroom right next to his toilet. Those back, despite having multiple chances to do so. He didn't give him back. So the FBI, they raided him and took him back. But now that Trump is in power and has been appointing his lackeys to very important positions, he's now doing revenge because they couldn't stop Bolton's memoir, from coming out. That's it. I mean, that memoir had actually predicted that Trump would do exactly what he's doing now. Use his second term to carry out revenge against his political enemies. Bolton wrote this: Trump really cares only about retribution for himself, and it will consume much of the second term. Indeed, pretty prescient words there. Okay, very, very telling. We all knew that this would happen. There is no surprise here. Nobody's walking around with Pikachu face. All right, it's just, he's been wanting to do this. This is what MAGA has wanted to do. This is what Trump has wanted to do. MAGA is cheering this on. Trump supporters, they're not going to get angry over this very, very clear example of weaponization of government. In fact, right now, they're like, yeah, how does it feel? How does it feel, John Bolton? But John Bolton didn't do anything. He doesn't have any classified records, period. But again, they're cheering it on because they don't want justice. They want revenge. It's never been about justice. Okay. MAGA believes that they have been wronged. They really do. Because the Biden administration very weakly and fecklessly attempted to kind of maybe hold Trump a little bit accountable, but failed. They failed. Just absolutely. They failed completely. And so, I mean, it was an absolute failure to do anything to hold Trump accountable. An absolute failure. But it was more than enough for Trump to go, all right, I'm getting some revenge now. It's vengeance time. Now, here's the irony about all this. I just mentioned that MAGA, believes that they have been wronged, and actually, they have been. They have been. They've been wronged a lot. But it wasn't due to Biden. No, you've got inflation that's going up. You've got wages that have stayed flat. Health insurance is about to get more expensive. Rents continue to rise. All of that stuff. Okay, all the stuff that Trump had promised to fix is more broken than ever. Vegetables are like 38% more expensive than they were last year. But Trump, instead of fixing any of that, is wasting his time going after his political enemies like John frickin' Bolton. Okay? Again, proving that he does not actually care at all about you. The sad thing, and the very sad thing about this, because again, I don't care about John Bolton himself, but the sad thing is that if you're a MAGA person, you're never going to realize that. You're never going to realize that Trump doesn't care about you, that he would gladly sacrifice you and your family to get himself ahead. I mean, that's the reality. And you're never going to realize that. And if you do realize that, well, it's already too late to do anything about it. Okay. So, I had apparently some issues with my connection here with the stream going out. So I apologize for that. Those of you who missed that segment, you can see it on our YouTube channel or Facebook. All the places where I post the videos of the show. And I'm sorry for this, but you can also go to our Patreon and download the entire show ad-free, unbroken, and listen to it there, or again, watch the video clips on our YouTube channel. We'll have that all uploaded. But anyway, it seems like it's working now. So I apologize for those interruptions, the delays, all that stuff, from the stream just crapping out on me today. It is just one of those days where I don't know. Maybe it's the Trump FBI. Maybe they don't like the show. Maybe they're having an issue, and try to put a stop to it. I don't know what the case is, but the show must go on. All right,
We'll do it live.
we'll do it live. We're gonna do it live. You can't stop me. The truth will come out. Okay. Anyway, moving on. A federal judge has struck a blow to Donald Trump's favorite new concentration camp in Florida. The detention center known as Alligator Alcatraz has been ordered to be shut down. The camp, which has been inundated not just by floodwaters, but by allegations of abuse, including reports of assault, groping, and inhumane living conditions. I mean, look, detainees have said that they have been fed spoiled food, denied their religious rights. Hey, I thought we were supposed to be protecting people's religious rights here. I guess only for certain people and certain religious rights. They've also been given limited access to showers and working sanitation toilets. They've been facing mosquitoes and oppressive heat. I mean, the situation is just awful there. The conditions are just god awful. Okay. In fact, a former guard told NBC in Miami earlier this month the facility was basically like an oversized kennel. I mean, just absolutely disgusting. Okay. Now, the conditions are bad, but that's not the reason that a judge has said that it should be shut down. Really now? No, it turns out federal environmental laws are the reason that they have been ordered to close. Honestly, I did not see that one coming. Okay, that is a twisty twist that you can appreciate. Okay, U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams had ruled on Thursday that the state of Florida had violated federal environmental laws by building this facility, which is made up of a bunch of tents erected on an abandoned airstrip. Okay, with giant cages. Yes, literal cages that hold 35 to 38 people without conducting any environmental assessments or impact statements. Like, they're federally supposed to do, mandated to do. That's the word. Williams wrote, here, there weren't any deficiencies in the agency's process. There was just no process. And that's it. And that's it. I mean, they literally threw this together in about 8 days at massive cost to the taxpayer. Remember, leaked documents from July 2025 noted that the initial operating cost per year of this camp, this concentration camp, is expected to be over $600 million. Yes, it's over $500 million to run this concentration camp filled with tents. I mean, seriously, Florida actually spent about $450 million up front on building this. Are they going to get their money back? Probably not. I mean, have you seen our federal government? But here's the thing. Instead of feeding people, housing veterans, I thought you guys were supposed to care about that, or doing any sort of positive thing to help society. They instead spend the money like crazy to build a concentration camp in the middle of a swamp. This is who they are. They are not fiscally conservative. They would just rather spend money hurting people. I mean, that's the reality. Okay. Now, look, you got to give a lot of credit to the environmental groups and the local tribe that sued the federal government. Okay. So now, this is Friends of the Everglades and the Center for Biological Diversity that launched a lawsuit. They argued that the project could undermine the billions of dollars in Everglades restoration efforts that the government had been, doing. Now, the facility is federally funded and therefore subject to the National Environmental Policy Act, which requires environmental studies to be conducted before any major federal action or construction project. Well, this would apply. This would be a federal construction project. Yes, it is a concentration camp funded by the federal government. Now, the judge ruled that the wastewater, floodlights, and the fencing at the camp threatened the sensitive ecosystem that surrounds it, and as well as blocking indigenous tribes' access to the paths where they have traditionally collected their ceremonial and medicinal plants. Williams found that the camp, located in the Big Cypress National Preserve, an area that the Florida legislature has designated as a conservation zone, does in fact pose myriad risks to the sensitive surroundings. Again, the runoff and wastewater discharge, the floodlighting, all that stuff. Not only that, but members of the Miccosukee tribe testified that they had lost their access to the trails that they had used for hunting and the harvesting of those medicinal and ceremonial plants. The ruling now requires the state to begin dismantling parts of this facility, including the temporary fencing, lighting fixtures, and the generators within the next 60 days. So, I mean, without the fencing, without any of that stuff, you can't really have a camp, can't really hold people, which is good. That's a good thing. Look, I love this ruling because it is exactly the kind of ruling that the right wing goes absolutely insane over. I mean, we're talking about white hot apoplectic rage. I mean, hamburgers, they're going to go flying if they haven't already, especially in the Oval Office. All right. Now, Williams had also previously ruled that workers had to halt construction on the site while this lawsuit played out. And it's not the only lawsuit that hit this, by the way. There was another lawsuit filed on July 16th by civil rights lawyers who were seeking a temporary restraining order against the building of the detention center because of all their abuses, human rights abuses, right? For example, holding people without due process, okay, without charges, denying access to attorneys, legal representation, canceling the immigration bond hearings. Again, all of these are violations of people's due process, which, yes, every person on American soil, whether or not you're a citizen, and how do you find out if somebody's a citizen or not anyway? Through due process. We all have due process. And if we don't have due process, if only a certain group has due process, then no one has due process. If they can take it away from an immigrant, they can take it away from you. Okay, that is very, very, and a very, important point to remember. If one person has it in this country, then no one has it. We need to protect everyone's right to due process. Everyone's. But look, I don't care how. I just want this camp to be shut down, whether it be on environmental grounds or civil rights grounds. It doesn't matter. They should not. This should not exist in the first place. Okay, we should not be in the business of using our taxpayer money to build concentration camps. Again, whether it be on American soil or funding what's going on in El Salvador right now or Sudan. We should not be in the business of building concentration camps. That's not what I want my taxpayer money to go to. I want to go to feeding people, hungry people. I want to go to educating kids. You know, I want it to go to childcare and workers' rights. That's what I want. That's what I want my money to go to. Not this. Not this. All right. So, look, I'm definitely in favor of using whatever legal means, weapons we can to push back against what is a fascist government. Okay. And if and when they decide to try to take away our legal means, our legal weapons, well, I mean, be careful because, you know, if you take away the legal weapons, it only leaves the other kind. There's no such thing as a good prison camp. It's true. It's true. GOP, oh, I'm sorry. They act like liberals and leftists don't pay taxes. Exactly. Exactly. All right. My dad and brother pay more taxes a week than I get in food stamps a month. Yeah, and you know what? We do not have a revenue. Well, okay. Let me think about this. Okay, let me think about how I'm phrasing this, because I want to be very clear, right? So we don't have a spending problem, right? We've got a revenue problem, meaning the fact that we don't tax rich people enough, and even so, right? We also have a problem with priorities. What do we prioritize? What does this government prioritize? Weapons of war, the police state, the military. We do not prioritize the American people. And that's what we should. That's what our tax money really should go to. Okay. Finnish prison camps actually rehabilitate their inmates into polite society. Yeah, but our system is not based on that. Our system is based on punishment. Punishment and recidivism. They want more people to go back to prison. They do not want to rehabilitate criminals. They want to just bring them back in so private prison corporations can make more money. And that is the sad fact of our system. Okay, anyway. A memorial honoring the victims of the 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida was recently erased by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Wednesday night, the Florida Department of Transportation painted over the rainbow crosswalk outside of the memorial in Orlando. Now, that memorial was installed to honor the 49 victims that were murdered in this mass shooting. But apparently, the mere existence of this memorial pissed off Ron DeSantis to the point of where finally he had it erased. He had ordered it erased. And one way, of course, that helped him to do that, since he couldn't just do it on his own, he got an assist from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. So now, here's the thing, okay? They're erasing these memorials, kind of like what they're doing to transgender people themselves, trying to erase them from society. And of course, that's going to fail because transgender people have always existed and always will exist, as well as gay people and bisexuals and all that. These entire groups of people cannot be erased. They have always existed and always will. So try in vain. You will never get rid of them, ever. And that's it. But anyway, they're trying. They're trying by getting rid of this memorial. Now, the following day, Orlando's mayor, Buddy Dyer, expressed outrage about this, saying this: "We are devastated to learn that overnight, the state painted over the Pulse Memorial crosswalk on Orange Avenue. This callous action of hastily removing part of a memorial to what was, at the time, our nation's largest mass shooting." Again, this happened in 2016, and since then, we have had a lot of mass shootings, a lot of very large mass shootings. So that's another indictment of this country. But anyway, he said, without any supporting safety data or discussion is a cruel political act. Dyer said in a statement released Thursday morning. Now, so I will get to that, okay? The supporting safety data, because this is part of the argument that they're using to justify this. But first, I want to go to a video here from Orlando's Senator, Carlos Guillermo Smith, who weighed in. Take a look.
And we've just discovered that the Florida Department of Transportation, in the middle of the night, ripped the rainbow colors off of this city crosswalk. They illegally vandalized city property without providing the city of Orlando notice or getting their approval to remove this rainbow crosswalk that was painted here not only to remember the lives of the 49 mostly LGBTQ people of color who were murdered here, but also to keep the pedestrians and visitors safe who have come here year after year to pay their respects to those lives who were taken here. I cannot believe that the DeSantis administration has engaged in this hostile act against the city of Orlando, that they have insulted the families and survivors of this horrific tragedy, and that they have done this in this way. Of course they did this in the middle of the night because they knew what they were doing was wrong. I hope the city of Orlando paints these colors back onto their property and that they sue the state of Florida for vandalizing their property without their consent and denying them the legal administrative process they have through the FDOT to appeal this ridiculously short-sighted and bigoted decision by the state of Florida and the DeSantis administration.
Look, here's the thing, right? So I love how he pointed out that this was done in the middle of the night. Okay, you don't do something like that if you think that you're on the right side of history. You don't do this in the middle of the night if you didn't think that you were doing anything wrong. They knew they were wrong, but they're trying to justify it by what? By pointing to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and his letter he had sent to the governors. Now, that letter basically told them, you need to keep your intersections clear of political messaging or artwork or any markings that are not directly tied to any pedestrian or driver safety. Now, you might think on that face, well, okay, that doesn't sound too bad, right? You just want to keep it simple and make sure that, people are safe, right? But this has nothing to do with safety because the whole point of his directive is a way to get around to be able to get rid of these monuments. In fact, Duffy would go on to claim without evidence that rainbow crosswalks were a threat. Rainbow crosswalks. I don't. No. There's look. Maybe you could argue that right wingers, whenever they see a rainbow, melt down so much that they might end up getting themselves into an accident because of the major feelings that they get, right? The very confused feelings, perhaps feelings of arousal at the idea of, someone of the same sex coming on to them. I don't know. Perhaps that is the issue. Perhaps that's why they get distracted. But look, most people see a rainbow crosswalk and they're like, whatever. Oh, cool. Whatever. Great. That's not going to distract me to the point of crashing into something. Okay. That's a total bullshit excuse. Okay. Total, ridiculous excuse that Duffy is using to try to erase these monuments. Okay? We know exactly what they're doing and why. They're erasing LGBTQ plus people from public life. And this is a goal that they've been very explicit about. I mean, first, you erase them from public life, then you criminalize them for existing, and then, well, that leads to eventually killing them. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen this playbook before. The Nazis did it. So, I mean, that's a very, very dark and dangerous road that we are going down in this country. And that's it. I mean, it's really scary. Now, that said, people are fighting back. Oh, yes. In fact, Floridians have decided to take Guillermo Smith's message and took it upon themselves to put the crosswalk back. Look at that. So, yeah, that's one of the crosswalks that had been erased. You've got people filling it in. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Not only that, but you have commissioners in Delray Beach that have actually voted. City commissioners voted to maintain their rainbow intersection, despite the state ordering them, big government, ordering them to remove it. I mean, again, this is big government censorship coming in and telling local government what they can do with their own crosswalks. I mean, they're doing everything that conservatives claim to be against, all as a way to try to erase LGBTQ plus people. That's it. That's it. Now, Vice Mayor Rob Long pointed out that despite the threats from the DOT, from the Florida DOT, they never actually issued, at first, a formal enforcement letter. Nor did Delray officials make any plans to install a pride symbol elsewhere after the plans to destroy that intersection were announced. So, now after he said that, the state did get around to sending a formal letter demanding that the city remove the mural by September 3rd, or the Florida Department of Transportation will come and remove them by any appropriate method necessary without any further notice, and probably in the middle of the night. Because they're cowards. That's what cowards do. They show up in the middle of the night and get rid of these, displays that people, for the most part, overwhelmingly support. Now, the city commission has promised to fight against them. In fact, Delray Beach Mayor Tom Carney told Media Key West that he's not exactly optimistic in fighting against DeSantis, but he's going to do it anyway. He says, well, my guess is we're going to lose. Maybe we'll win. Who knows? Let's give it a shot. Hey, you know what? Yes, I think let's fight anyway, even if we know or have, even if we think we're going to lose, at least we're going to go and we're going to show up and we're going to fight. You know what? I approve, because rolling over to fascism never works out. And I'm glad that they're not rolling over. But understand that again, the people who are trying to erase LGBTQ plus people are fascists. That's what fascists do. Look, this doesn't harm safety at all, doesn't impact safety at all, drivers at all. That's just a flimsy excuse to try to get rid of something that triggers them, obviously. Look, the existence of gay and trans people trigger fascists. That's it. And by the way, look, the Newsweek article that talked about this, right? I read some of the comments here, and they are quite atrocious, okay? You got people literally calling to arrest them. Yeah, arrest all of them. Make an example of them. Again, the people who are, basically trying to fill this back in, to restore it to what it was. I mean, you don't understand. They're defacing government property. Oh, would you prefer that they do what the J6ers did in the Capitol and smear literal shit all over the place? Is that what you want? Is that what you want? I understand that every single call for law and order that they make should be immediately ignored and laughed at because they don't stand for law and order at all. They are so incredibly hypocritical that no one should ever take them seriously. Seriously. They have absolutely no real core principles except for owning the libs and licking Donald Trump's asshole. Okay, that's what they do. And again, if you are a MAGA and you actually don't care about rainbow crosswalks and don't give a shit, then congratulations, this doesn't apply to you. Okay, and so if you're like, well, I don't care about this is not a real issue. Yeah, well, I agree, it shouldn't be a real issue, but here are your esteemed leaders. Instead of helping you, instead of doing anything to make your life better, they're coming after gay and trans people to make their lives actively worse. Is that what you voted for? I mean, if it is, okay, well, then, we don't have really anything to talk about, okay, because we're not going to agree on anything. But if it's not what you voted for, if you did vote for lower grocery prices, if you did vote to curb inflation, if you did vote to, for Trump to help your life in your economy, help you afford a house, well, you might want to get educated, okay, about how his policies are impacting you. And once you do, I mean, it's going to be very obvious to see that Trump doesn't give a goddamn about you or your economic health and well-being, much less your health and well-being, and is only using this his power to come down on his political enemies and people that he doesn't like, which include, again, the LGBTQ plus community. Okay. Sorry about that image, about Trump. It's just, I mean, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Ugh. Okay. It's what the cultists are doing. Go to Alina Habba next. Oh, you're going to love this one. Okay. Trump's former personal attorney, Alina Habba, is raging after a federal judge ruled that she can no longer serve as the acting U.S. attorney for New Jersey. Now, remember, acting U.S. attorneys may only serve up to 120 days. Beyond that, they have to be confirmed by the Senate. That's how that works. Alina Habba is likely to not be confirmed because she's nothing more than a political lackey of Donald Trump, but also, and again, not just because she's a political lackey, right? But because she has absolutely no experience in criminal law. Kind of important. You would think if you're going to be a U.S. attorney for a district, that you should have some sort of basis in criminal law. She does not. But understand that this is not a bug. It is a feature. She has no idea what she's doing and is 100% loyal to Donald Trump, which is exactly why she was chosen. Now, in July, a panel of New Jersey District Court judges ended up ousting Habba after the expiration of her 120-day interim period. That said, the regime has tried to deploy several gimmicks in order to try to keep her in that position, okay? What do I mean by gimmicks? Okay, well, first, they tried appointing her chief deputy, Desiree Lee Grace, to the role, and then firing her and in order to get Habba back into that position. Oh, well, we had to fire her, and it turns out that Habba was working under Grace, and so, oh, would you look at that? Now she's the AG for New Jersey. What are you gonna do? Wow, And then not only that, but she also they had also withdrew her Senate nomination and just named her to be the interim attorney general. And so that's what they're doing. Okay. But even with all of that, her time is over. It has run out. Okay. She is done. On Thursday, U.S. District Judge Matthew Brand the Builder in this case. Well, more like Brand the Destroyer, actually, because he is destroying Alina Habba. He ruled that Habba has been serving in her position unlawfully since July 1st, leaving her, of course, to go to Fox News to what? Whine and cry.
I will tell you this. Number one, I was the nominee to become the U.S. attorney, and Cory Booker and Andy Kim, who I have never to this day spoken to in my life, despite my attempts to meet them, have truly, truly done us a disservice. And frankly, same with Senator Grassley, by holding up a traditional blue slip, not a law, and not allowing a lot of the president's picks to go through and be voted on by Senate. I didn't even get to that point. Then fast forward, it goes to the judges. 17 federal judges in the state of New Jersey, 15 of which are Obama and Biden appointed, that just like, frankly, we saw with Tish James, tried to use their seat for political motivation. I am the pick of the president. I am the pick of Pam Bondi, our attorney general, and I will serve this country like I have for the last several years in any capacity. You might try and change my title. You might try and fight me. But just like today with New York, we will win. We always do. It just takes time. But it's disturbing what we're seeing. It's not surprising, but it's disturbing. They think they have a voice for 5 minutes. They try and be activists. And Pam Bondi called it like it is. The attorney general said it today. We will not fall to rogue judges. We will not fall to people trying to be political when they should just be doing their job, respecting the president. And you can't get rid of the president. Almost 100 million people voted for him, and he is still and will be forever the 45th and 47th president of the United States.
There is so much there. There is so much stupid packed into such a very small amount of time, but we're going to go through it. Okay, let's go. First off, okay, oh, the president picked me. Yeah, that's right. The president picked me. And then Pam Bondi picked me. Well, it doesn't matter who picked you. Jesus or Santa Claus could have picked you for all that matters. And it doesn't, because at the end of the day, you still have to be confirmed by the Senate. That's how this is set up. Cry about it all you want. This is a reality. Okay. Secondly, you're whining about judges being political. Lady, the only reason that you were picked for this position is because you are a political hack. Period. And again, the job of the judges is not to respect the presidents. No, it's to interpret the Constitution and rule based on the law. Law says, hey, if you're not confirmed by the Senate, you cannot serve in that position beyond 120 days, which means your ass is out. Okay? Get the out of my house. That's it. Go. Get out of here.
That's it. See you later.
Bye. Get out. That's it. I mean, it's over. Clean up, go home. You are done. Done. That's it. Okay. Look, here's the thing. She clearly overstayed her welcome in a position that she is not qualified for, and therefore she has to go home. Okay. Or go do another job. I don't care. I don't care what you do. Okay. Just, you can't do that position. You're done. Okay, unless you get confirmed. If you get confirmed, there ain't nothing I could say. All right, because hey, you were following the law and you got confirmed by the Senate. Even if I don't like it, all right, fair enough. But no, you're done. No confirmation means no job. Go home. Oh, and finally, I do want to address that 100 million people did not vote for Donald Trump. He actually received about 77 million votes in the 2024 election. Those are real numbers, right? And hey, large numbers. Now you could say, well, yeah, but she means in all those elections, you know, he received millions, 100 million votes. Well, actually, no, that's not how that works either, because elections aren't cumulative. And I don't even think that, you know, she was making that argument, because that would be a stretch, right? Because if you actually did count all the votes that Trump had gotten throughout all the 3 elections, then it would be way over 100 million. So. And again, votes, not people, because people obviously can vote across multiple elections. Okay, so she's not making that argument. But anyway, at the end of the day, she does not have enough votes. No Democratic senator should vote to confirm her. And thankfully, they're not. Cory Booker, wow, finally, yes, great, awesome. But even Republicans like Chuck Grassley do not support her. Meaning that it is over. Time to go. Time to go. That's it. End of the line. Now, what's even better than her having to go home, Judge Brand also found that her actions since July 1st should be considered null and void. I mean, again, since she's not technically allowed to be in that position, all of the decisions that she has made in that position after July 1st shouldn't count. I mean, Brand wrote, faced with the question of whether Ms. Habba is lawfully performing the functions and duties of the Office of the United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey, I conclude that she is not. Once again, Brand the destroyer. Okay. He also found that Habba should be disqualified from participating in any ongoing cases. And there it is. I mean, look, Alina, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So, bye. And there you go. Okay. Habba should go to real law school and get an actual education. Or she could try to be try to get into criminal law. I mean, she could do that. She goes through criminal law school and comes out, you know, degree, whatever. Okay, maybe then she would actually be qualified for that job. But she hasn't done that. Because again, she's just basically a political hack appointee. All right. So now let's go to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Oh boy. The Minnesota Democratic Party has taken the very unusual step of taking back their endorsement of a candidate. The reason, well, I don't think you're going to be shocked by this one, but Omar Fattah apparently, well, he's a Democratic socialist, and that's no bueno in the Democratic Party. Omar Fattah was elected last month by the delegates at the Minneapolis convention for the Democratic Party, known in Minnesota as the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. He was elected to receive the party's endorsement for mayor over the much better funded 2-term incumbent Jacob Frey. Or is it Fry? I'm not entirely sure. Now, in an argument that seems to me to be quite reminiscent of the very, the DNC co-chairmanship being taken away from David Hogg, the party is claiming that Fattah only won because, there was an error and we need to redo this whole thing because, Frey, he didn't get his, or Fry, didn't get his delegates to be counted, so we're just gonna have to redo this, democracy and all. Now, here's the thing. There was a malfunction in the electronic voting system that day. This is true. The final tally of the 577 counted votes had Fattah winning with about 43.8% of the vote and Frey with 31.5%. However, there was a number of ballots that apparently did not get counted. Okay, so that's why they did a second ballot. So this second ballot obviously tried to bypass the malfunctioning system, right? And so they did so through basically a show of hands, okay? Pretty low tech, but hey, it worked. So now Fatah was elected through that overwhelmingly. So what's the problem there? Why are they taking this back? Well, Fry, sorry, I don't know, how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. But he told his delegates to leave the convention before the second ballot. Now, that left only Fatah's supporters. Now, for me, I look at that and I'm like, hey, look, I understand that you might be upset about that, but you did tell your supporters to leave. Why did you tell your supporters to leave? And if you do that, don't you forfeit your spot? I mean, that would make sense, right? I'm like, hey, that sucks for you, man, but you did tell everybody to leave, and therefore you did kind of forfeit in the second ballot, so sorry. Sad day for you. But no, Fry complained, and the party decided to do an investigation. Oh, so now that investigation, of course, of the first ballot, or the first vote, did find that 176 ballots in the first round of voting were not counted. Now, it also denied the entry of a third candidate, Dwayne Davis, on the second ballot. So, okay, that first ballot, that was messed up. That's pretty clear. So that's why they, of course, did a second round. That second round had no irregularities because it had no voting machines or anything like that. It was just a raise your hand. Okay. Now, Fatah won that because Frey's delegates, gone. Now, they weren't forced to leave. They did it anyway. I think that makes it so that they gave up their chance to vote. And again, he won the first and he overwhelmingly won the second. And so, and by the way, those 176 ballots didn't necessarily mean that Fry would have won. Maybe it would have been closer. Maybe it wouldn't have. I don't know. But obviously, that result was not allowed to stand. The DFL on Thursday announced that it made the decision to vacate Fatah's nomination. As a result, access to the party voter rolls, which usually only goes to the candidate endorsed by the DFL, will now be given out to everyone, potentially splitting the vote and perhaps even hurting Fatah's chances. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that will actually happen, if it will hurt Fatah, but you can be sure that it seems like it did. It will. Look, Representative Ilhan Omar and about a dozen other DFL state and local officials released a statement that condemned the party's decision on this to strip Fatah of his nomination, saying last month, thousands of caucus goers and delegates across Minneapolis gathered to participate in a Minneapolis DFL convention. Now, a month later, a small group of DFL board members, a majority living outside of Minneapolis, met privately to overturn the will of Minneapolis delegates who had volunteered, organized, and participated in a months-long DFL process. It is inexcusable to overturn the result weeks after the convention because the board members did not like the outcome. Not only does this decision set an extremely dangerous precedent, but it will undermine the DFL endorsing process going forward and fail to center the will of delegates. Zach Lindstrom, the mayor of the St. Paul suburb of Mounds View, who served as the sergeant at arms during the convention, added Fatah is getting screwed. It was clear, crystal clear. Fatah had the vast majority of support in the room. His supporters filled 2 entire sections. Fry's didn't even fill 1. I saw with my own eyes someone who clearly had the room, and for him to get rugged is just another reason the party approval is at an all-time low and hemorrhaging support. Yes, look, this is, to me, another example of the party establishment pushing back against their leftist candidates. Fatah's campaign, like Mamdani's, had been focused on affordability for working people. For example, he'd been pushing for the city to introduce rent control and investments in affordable housing paid for by taxing the rich. That sounds good to me. He also called for the city to raise the minimum wage to about $20 an hour. He also called to defund the police He said that the city's overwhelmed police department should divert calls to non-police responders who are better trained to handle issues related to mental health, homelessness, and drug use. That's what defund the police actually means. So there's a lot of people out there who completely misunderstood and still do the defund the police movement, what that actually means. So what it means is that, I mean, you're basically taking the excess money out of the police department that they use to militarize themselves by APCs and Bearcats, right? Why does your police department need that? Okay. And why send an overly militarized police force to deal with someone having a mental health episode? That shouldn't be their job. The police's job is supposed to be to deal with criminals, right? Well, being mentally ill is not a crime, as far as I know. Potentially harming yourself in the middle of a mental health episode, that's also not a crime. And look, I understand that they can pose a danger to other people. I'm not blind to that. But here's the thing. You have people that work in nursing homes and high behavioral homes that deal with this stuff, mental health episodes, people harming them, possibly harming themselves and possibly harming others. They deal with that all the time. And guess what? They do not need guns, tasers, or billy clubs to be able to do it. It's about de-escalation. And that's it. That's what it should be about. That's why defund the police makes sense. And look, I think a good compromise, right, for the people who are concerned, like, what do you mean? You're going to send a social worker out there? First of all, you're massively undercutting, the work that social workers actually do, because they go into these situations already. But anyway, I'll compromise here with y'all. Send a social worker with a police officer escort to provide security for non-police responders, just in case things might get out of hand. Just as backup. Maybe that would work. But anyway, look, Fattah ran his campaign on those issues, and also by criticizing the Democratic establishment that he says is personified by Fry. In fact, Fry has received substantial support from the real estate and restaurant industries, giant corporations, big corporate donors, the owner donors, all right, that really don't want any sort of change. They don't want rent controls. They don't want higher minimum wages, okay? And look, according to the Minnesota Star Tribune, despite having fewer individual small dollar donors, Fry has gotten a war chest of over $539,000, which is about 8 times the size of Fattah's. So Fry is being massively funded by wealthy donors who have been likely giving it to the We Love Minneapolis PAC that supports Fry. In fact, they have been accused of illegally coordinating campaign expenditures with the Fry campaign. So they might be breaking campaign finance law. Oops. But anyway, the establishment, from everything that's going on here, the establishment clearly does not want Fattah to win. They are fearing that he will be another Zoran Mamdani. They are absolutely desperate right now to crush any insurgent leftist candidates, which is really sad to see because, look, Tim Walz, I like Tim Walz, but he does not support Fattah. He supports Jacob Fry, which is incredibly disappointing because on a lot of policy issues, at least surrounding the issue of affordability, it seemed like Walz would be more in line with Fattah and not Fry. I don't know what the deal is on that one, but it is incredibly disappointing. It is disappointing. Now, getting back to Omar and her statement, the DFL's decision, she says, demonstrated the clear tension between the progressive Democrats who are challenging the status quo and the moderate Democrats, or the establishment. Throughout this mayoral campaign, we have seen the influence of big money in our politics. We know organized people beat organized money. Fatah's campaign organized and won the endorsement. This decision will be a stain on our party for years to come and damage our ability to organize for Democratic wins this year, next year, and beyond. Exactly. And look, this is the establishment clearly refusing to learn their lessons, just like the DNC co-chair fight, which, by the way, like, they kicked out David Hogg, who isn't exactly a radical leftist, okay? But he was calling for, hey, maybe we should have some new leadership, some younger leadership, that might actually help us win instead of continue to lose to fascists. They kicked him out. And not only is the establishment doing stuff like that, but they're also refusing to endorse Orhan Mamdani, who has a really good chance of being the next mayor of New York City. And now they're, the establishment is stripping Fatah of his nomination. I mean, again, this is a party, the Democrats are, that despite being extremely unpopular right now, which they are, and they refuse, even with that unpopularity, to change and to embrace populist, progressive candidates in the face of not creeping fascism, but fascism that is literally right here, right in our faces. Okay? They're refusing to change. And that's not a good thing. Okay. That's it. I really did go way over today. And I got a threat. I doubt you would, sir. I doubt you would. I send you a dump truck full of turds. I doubt you could afford it, buddy. I doubt you could afford it. I thought you were supposed to be the people who, were crushed by Biden-inflation and cannot afford things, and that's why I voted for Donald Trump. No. You voted for Donald Trump because you're a racist, hateful person who threatens random people online. So, congratulations. You should feel real good about yourself. I'm sure you do. Yes, I did the Bolton story already. Sorry for, you getting here late. But you can rewatch the stream, or you can go to our Patreon page for free. It's open for everyone. Download the show, listen to it, no paywalls. So you can check that out. Or you can, of course, watch the YouTube videos as well. So keyboard warriors. It's exactly what a lot of these people are. Exactly. All right. So please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do so. Please support the show. Sign up, become a patron, become a channel supporter, or, super chats, all that stuff. And by the way, thank you for the super chats yesterday that I didn't get to because I had ended the stream. Jose Kelly and Uncle Fatty. Really appreciate the support there and the super chats. All right. Boring as usual. Then why are you watching, Paul? Go do something constructive with your time. Go enjoy your life. What's wrong with you? What are you doing sitting here hate watching somebody? Come on. Like, go have a beer or something. Beat your wife. I don't know. Whatever you normally do on a everyday, or don't actually do that though. That's a terrible thing. But just go enjoy your life. Like, what are you doing here? Have fun. Jesus Christ, what is with these people? It's MAGA people, I swear to God. The most miserable people on the planet. Always hate watch. Like, if I sat there and hate watched, like, people that I disagree with all day, I guess I'd be miserable too. And I don't know. It's weird. Y'all are weird. Like, go do something interesting. All right. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Like, talk to your kid. Well, that's if your kids haven't cut you out of your out of their lives. Okay. I don't know. I don't know your situation, buddy. But you might want to just calm down and enjoy your life. All right. It's too short. Too short for this shit. All right. Exactly, PJ. Exactly. All right. Guys, speaking of enjoying your life, I'm going to try to enjoy my weekend. So, and hopefully you do as well. Just like I said, take care of yourselves, your families, your friends, your communities, organize your workplaces, do all that fun stuff. And try to, unwind, because next week, as always, the fight continues. All right, everybody. Love you all. Thank you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody.